This meeting is now being recorded.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Sorry about the technical difficulties we had over there. And rejoining, yes. Thank you for joining. Can everybody see the slides or the slide that is on the screen right now?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Awesome. Okay, so Dr. Amy Smith is ready to present. Amy, if you could let me know when you want me to change the slide, I'll go ahead and do that for you.
Yep, I'll just say next each time.
Okay. Well, then,
all right, so
it's all yours.
All right, I can see people's names, but what sites are people from who are here? Ashley, where are you from?
So I believe
I'm from UA.
Okay, and California?
she's here from Lancaster General Health.
Okay, and Darcy Dreyer?
Hi, I'm from Mercedine.
Okay, and Joseph Teal is the only other one I don't know.
UPenn.
Wonderful. Okay. Can we go to the next slide, Maha? Okay. So why are we changing to phase 3? The first thing is for continuous quality improvement. Multiple sites have had issues with data collection on 2 significant points, which is whether the mother is present and completion of a full validated depression screening. A lot of places they're having trouble if they have a positive PHQ-2. Not everybody's doing the full PHQ-9, or not everyone is recording it. So there were some significant issues with using the data that we had collected over the last 5 years. And the updated changes take these things into account and allow for different workflows that may work better at different sites. We're also collecting more granular data on each intervention, like we currently do on the multivitamin use, so that we can better analyze which interventions are having the best impact on behavior change. Next slide. So the changes for maternal demographics, there are just one additional question, which is the addition of maternal status, which has been shown to impact interpregnancy interval and preterm birth. So we're looking into whether we can collect any further data on that. And then the combination of the race and ethnicity collection were modeled after the upcoming census changes. And then there's no change on the rest of the maternal demographic collection. Next slide. Excuse me. So for the rest of the interventions, I've separated this into phase 2 and phase 3. And if the question is in green, that would prompt you to ask the next question. If the answer is in red, there would be no further questions. And if everything is in black, that means that nothing is dependent on those answers. So adding the mom's smoking history gives us the opportunity to better assess the risk. If she's never smoked, the second question does not appear. If she's a former smoker, it gives us the opportunity to congratulate her on her cessation efforts and reinforce the benefits of not smoking, as well as prompting for refills or referrals as needed. And this could give us data on whether continuous reinforcement helps with continued cessation, where previously we didn't collect data on smoking history and would not have known to ask. If they're currently smoking, the more granular options for interventions are available, both to help remind the clinician of available options and to see if one intervention is better than the others. Next slide. So we made a lot of changes in the depression collection, and adding a question about mom's depression history allows sites that would like the opportunity to go directly to a PHQ-9 if a patient is at higher risk. Some sites have decided that due to low levels of PHQ-9 completion following a positive PHQ-2, they're just going to use a PHQ-9 to decrease the risk of incomplete screening. And we've also added logic to make the use of the Edinburgh Postpartum Depression Scale possible. So when you're implementing phase 3, it will be really important to work with both the implementation team and your reporting team so that the appropriate data is collected based on your workflow. And also please remember that you can always ask one of the data review committee members to meet with your team if there are any questions or concerns before you start uploading data. Next slide. We've also simplified the follow-up and intervention questions for depression in addition to adding more granular responses. So we've combined 3 questions into one and cut down on the workflow. Next slide. So for the interpregnancy interval, our current data is not clear enough to help us find when a woman has a rapid repeat pregnancy. By changing the wording and adding the additional question if she has been pregnant, we hope to better understand when women are becoming pregnant again. Next slide. The contraceptive methods have been stratified, and even if they are using contraception, if it is a less effective method, clinicians will be prompted to assess whether they are using it appropriately or would like a more effective method. Next slide. The multivitamin use is where we previously had the most granular response data, which allowed us to show that giving a prescription or free vitamins increased the likelihood of a woman taking it at the next visit. Now we're breaking it down even further to try and see if the difference in no intervention, a recommendation, prescribing, or giving a voucher, or giving free vitamins. So we're getting just a tiny bit more data with that. Next one. So the goal is to transition all of the sites by July 1st. 3 sites have already implemented phase 3, Lancaster, Mayhec, and York. Are anybody from those sites available to discuss their issues or successes? I thought I saw Steve on.
Amy, this is Steve, and just briefly, we've had a few challenges going from phase 2 to phase 3. A lot of it is phase 3 was more difficult to, or what made it actually easier for providers not to see it and to skip over it, rather being integrated into the smart set for well child care. And we've done a number of things under Maha's leadership to try and make it more difficult to miss that. But using the smart form instead of an impregnated smart phrase has resulted, seems to be associated with somewhat decreased of doing ICC. It's something we're carefully tracking and trying to address specific strategies to get our intervention rates back up where they've been historically.
Steve, I know you're one of the sites that was also considering switching straight to a PHQ-9. Did you guys end up making that change?
We've gone straight to the PHQ-9, that is correct. We've struggled mightily for a couple of years with very significant 30-50% of positive PHQ-2s that were not, subsequently did not have a PHQ-9. It's a little early, but gone straight to the PHQ-9. Okay.
I'll have to look into see how that is going to be working. Is anyone from Mayhec or York on the line? I didn't see anybody.
Hey, Amy, it's Lisa. I just wanted to report, unless someone is available from Mayhec. I just literally got off the phone. I was a couple minutes late with our Epic build person, and all of the UPMC sites are going to go live the week of June 7th. She's built it in the test environment, and we just tested it on the phone and made a few tweaks, but we're good. She downloaded national Epic SDEs, and we're very excited, and thank you.
Wonderful. So is anyone at the other sites on the phone? Do you guys have your plans in place?
This is Joe Taylor,
having
and
issues?
we're in the eternal IS work queue waiting for implementation. So, but we submitted all of the build, and we're just waiting for our analyst to do it.
Wonderful. And which electronic record do you have?
We're on Epic as well.
Okay. So the Epic SDEs are available for download. Most sites who use Epic have gotten the workflow. Even if you're not on Epic, the building blocks included in the instructions can be really useful for your build team. Malha, are you able to pull that up?
Yeah, let me pull that up.
I did have a question since we're sharing here. Our Epic build person was able, we kept the same using the dot phrase build into the ICC primary care PeedWell smart set, but she really recommended going to a smart form. And I wanted to see if anyone else was using that because she said that if we did that, literally under screenings, the nurses could complete the first two and then the doc complete the rest. We could put maternal demographics in there. And she said it may increase collection. And I didn't know if anyone else had experience with that.
I know Mississippi uses a smart form. And I think the next, did you put all of the next one? Next one. One more. There's a lot of stuff. Get past the smart phrases. There we go. Okay, those are the SDEs, and then to the next one. This, oh my gosh, keep going. How many pages did I send you? There we go. That's the smart form. Go back one. So the smart form would look like this, Lisa. So if mom is present and they click yes, the rest of the questions show up. I have this filled out with all positives, so all of the questions show. But the logic works the same way. The logic works the same way. So the next question would only show up if they had a positive. Excuse me, if they had a positive on the trigger question.
That's interesting because she told me it would take longer to build, but you already built it.
Unfortunately, you can't just download this. I did already build it. I had to for the smart data elements submission because they had to see how they would attach. She would have to copy all of this, but I did put the next couple slides are all of the builds. She just would have to, they'd have to do it by hand. So she would have to build each one of these again.
And just in terms of the workflow for that, so if I'm in a visit, I think similar to many other institutions who are using Epic, we have our smart set for child checks. This would get deployed how within the same kind of typical workflow?
Well, so
this would be under.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So most sites have a screening tab, like where your PHQ2s, it would go under there.
Okay, so so people would have to be navigated to a separate part of the chart.
Well, that was my question,
Correct.
Joe. That was my question too. And actually what she said, that was why I didn't want to do it initially, but she just told me she could build an interconception care link in the primary PeedWell smart text, so they still couldn't close it. And then when they completed the screening, you could refresh the link and it would populate in the notes.
Yeah, it is possible to make it so that you cannot close the encounter without doing this. That is not a step that my site has been willing to do in the past, which is why I have left it in the smart phrase, in the smart set. Mm-hmm. That being said, this is really nifty build, and where I'd already done the work, I'm trying to twist their arms about it, but it would be a change in workflow for the nursing staff as well.
And are the slides going to be made available after the presentation so we could kind of discuss that as a potential enhanced workflow?
Yes.
Cool. Thank you.
Also, I'm pretty much using the same slides from my presentation today as my presentation to the end users at my site to explain the changes and why we're doing them. So if anybody wants to use them in your education for the other providers as well, you can tweak them to your heart's content.
Can you just send it? Are you just going to send the talk? Because actually tomorrow I'm doing my ICC update, and I didn't even think about giving them the phase 3, but I probably should. So if I could steal those slides, if you could send today, is that possible?
Yeah, I can send it, and Maha has a copy. She can post it on the Google Drive.
Okay.
Yep.
So the other build, Maha, if you go back to the smart phrase, is the way we're doing it at my site currently. We're hoping to go live July 1st, although I just spoke with our team and we have an update coming, so we might have to push it, unfortunately, to August. And I'm going to be very sad if I don't make the deadline, but one more back. Yeah, so this is the smart phrase as we have it built into the smart set currently, and this is embedded in the well child smart set, so no one has to go anywhere else to do this. And then the maternal demographics, there's actually a coding point you can put on a smart list, that makes it optional. So it will show in everyone's visit, but it doesn't have to be filled out. You know, when you get that annoying triple star that you can't close your note, you don't have to finish the maternal demographics to close the note. But I'm hoping it will prompt people to get the maternal demographics done. We have a fairly low rate.
Right. So I have a question about that. So 2 questions, and I wonder if anyone else is. So we just decided, she built it exactly how you did, and she just showed it to me in test environment. And I was nervous to keep it in there because I didn't think our docs would do it, but I decided we would trial it. My first question is, are your docs completing it? Have they done this yet, or this would be new for you as well?
This will be new for us as well. Currently, we have the nurses doing the maternal demographics, and they're getting a paper collection form at the one site, and the rest of the sites refuse to use the paper form, which is fine. But our maternal demographics collection rates at the other sites are horrible. So I'm hoping this will prompt them. I'm also I didn't do any demo of it, but we also built a BPA in to fire if they are over 3 months and haven't had a maternal demographics completed. It will fire a BPA as well to prompt the nurses to collect the demographics.
Wow. And I will, if there's any of the other PA sites on, we did get a question on why our maternal demographic rate was so low. And so that we really need to show we're doing PDSA cycles or trying to do things, not just what we've already done, which is trying to change the workflow of that paper form you're talking about. So that's why I think trying this at least is something new. And then my other question is that built in, what you built, that you can still close the note? Because she told me just now you'd have to delete it to close the note.
You do not need to do the way that I have it built, and I would have to go back through my screenshots. Hold on.
I'll just ask her. It's okay. Just for me, you don't have to do that, but I will ask. I'll just send an email and ask her.
No, I have it. There's a setting that you can set a smart list as a optional, and it does not need to be completed to close the note.
Okay.
That may depend on what version of Epic you're on, Lise. Do you know what version you're at? I thought you were
no
2017.
I would have no clue. Sorry.
Okay.
And then the last question I had for you, could you figure out a way that once it's completed, it wouldn't prompt again? Because she told me it would always prompt, even if it was completed previously.
The way that I have it built right now, it will. Once I get the BPA up and running and working the way I want, I'm going to try taking it out, and then the BPA will only fire if it hasn't been done.
Oh, so you mean you'll have like an exclusion that if it's done, it won't prompt?
Yes. But when I figure that out, I'll keep you in mind.
Very good. Yeah, we will. Yeah, that's a little techie for us, but thank you. But we do need to think of something as the PA programs to improve our maternal demographic rate for the grant reporting. So that's why maybe you could trial this BPA for the next quarter and then let us know at the fall meeting.
Yes, definitely. Also, I know PA needs to work on their numbers, but the entire network needs to work on their numbers for demographics. Does anyone have any other questions? Any issues you've run into on trying to implement things?
Just a quick comment. Smart form is so much more intuitive and much quicker when you do the entire form. Click up the answers instead of doing interminable F2, F2, F2. So anyway, we'll work through the bugs to get our ICC rates up where they need to be. But to the user, I find the smart form to be immensely easier to use.
I think it would depend on if, I'm sorry, Dolores, can you mute your line? It's causing a really bad echo. Is that better? Yes, thank you. I think it would depend on the workflows at the site, Steve. If the nurses are used to going in and the providers are used to going into the screening tab to complete the smart
Can
form.
you repeat what Steve said? I'm sorry, I couldn't hear his question.
Lisa, it wasn't a question, it was a comment that the use of the smart form as a user is so much easier than going through the smart phrase and hitting the F 10, 12 times. So I like the built-in intuition and usability of that.
Have you guys gone to smart forms then, Steve, at Lancaster?
Yeah, we did effective January 1, yes.
Oh, I didn't know. Maybe you guys could send screenshots. I didn't realize. So what has it done to your screening rate? Is it under screenings then on the left banner bar?
Maha, do you want to address that?
Yeah, so we did see a drop in our screening rate, and we're doing continuous monitoring and education to get those rates up.
How much of a drop did you see?
I would say it went down between about 15 to 20%.
Now, do you have that thing that our Epic person recommended, that you put the link in the note and that you can't close the note unless you complete the smart form?
Right, so we have it's like a button that you would have to hit. It's right on top of, as soon as you open your note, there's a button there. And once you click on it, the smart form pops up. What we do now have is a BPA built in so that it's a reminder for providers who haven't opened that ICC smart form before they close the chart. So it's not necessarily a hard stop there, but it's a reminder to complete it.
And I think as with anything, if the difference between a hard stop and a reminder is going to make a big difference in completion rates. But do you guys all do annual wellness visits where you have to finish certain things before you can close?
Correct, yeah, and just like Amy, ours wasn't fully on board with the complete hard stop. with it. So
Right.
we had to find a medium.
So this will be going back to square one for everybody and on the implementation and continuous quality improvement on data collection. We'll have to see how it goes. All right. Does anyone have any questions on the workflows or what to do after you start collecting phase 3? Letting Mike Horst know that to transition everything over. Mike, are you still on?
Yes.
So is everything going to switch over in July, or are we still waiting for sites to let us know about phase 3?
No, phase 3 is active right now. So Mayhec and us, we started with the April well child visits, are now in the phase 3 REDCap database. So whenever anybody's ready, they can start putting data in there.
And it's just clicking on the new version?
No, what I did, I'm giving selective access to sites as they're ready. So right now, you will not see phase 3 in your REDCap database until you're ready. Let me know. I'm just trying to make sure every site is, whether you're doing upload or manual entry, that you're ready, and then I'll give, one by one, give them access.
Okay. And then will we still have access to version 2, Mike?
Yeah, that's not going to go away. And the other thing, I'm just letting folks know that the Maha and I, we have the most current version of the report, the R report. What it does is it now pulls phase 2 and phase 3 data in. But what it does right now, it's backcoding any phase 3 data that's in there, it backcodes it to phase 2 until we have a critical mass of enough sites and several months of data. And then I'll start building in the phase 3 report out. And then, gradually transition over to fully reporting. Because unfortunately, we can't forward code phase 2 into phase 3. We have too many new options
Right.
to make assumptions of, if in phase 2, if mom was, is considered not smoking at a well child visit, was that never or former? That's just one example, but we just don't have good ways of forward coding everything to phase 3.
Thank you very much, Mike. Does anyone have any other questions?
Mike, I just had one other quick question. I know I'm asking more technical questions lately, guys. Bear with me since we don't have Jess and Christina. So for the PA grant, we need to have Altoona go live. And I just wanted to know, with the phase 3 for UPMC programs, it's going to go live June 7th. And they told me they're ready to go with their workflows and everything. My question is, could they just manually enter a couple? Because I'm not sure they're going to perfect their de-identification and their flat upload, like that can happen so quickly? Or is that possible so that we can count them? Or what does it take to count, I guess is what I'm asking, if a practice went live?
Well, in terms of the data, I mean, if they're ready to enter live data, I mean, they can certainly manually enter live data into the phase 3 data set. It's my understanding that's kind of what York's doing right now. And they're entering everything in phase 2 right now. They haven't transitioned to the phase 3 database, but certainly if they're ready to go live, they could certainly do that.
Okay, and do you think I could right now, just to get a few in, is just to trial how that goes? And maybe I could just they have a resident who's actually the champion kind of practicing some of those things right now until we went live. And then maybe I'll have her contact you. Is it obvious how to do that? Like there's a place for her to start entering?
Yeah, we actually have a phase 3 test database too, that probably they should start with that and just play around with it and get familiar with what they need to do. And then once they feel comfortable with it, they can migrate to the live database. My only concern is we would want to make sure that if they're going to start entering things live, that they continue, that it's not just, oh, we entered 16 well child visits and then nothing for 3 months. So we want to make sure that they're ready when they're going live. They're ready to actually start consistently entering those well child visits.
Right, exactly. Okay. Thank you.
Well, if nobody has any other questions, Maha, are you able to upload the presentation to the Google Drive so that everyone has access to the slides?
Yep, that's what I was going to say. If nobody has any questions, what I'll do is, first of all, I'll also put a link in for this webinar in Google Drive and send it in email, and I'll also send out the slides as well.
All right, well then I'm very interested to see how everybody does over the next quarter. As always, if there's any questions or concerns, please, if you're having any trouble with implementation, you can contact Maha and have one of the data review team members meet with your implementation team if there's things that need to be discussed.
All right, great. Thank you so much, Amy. Thank you, everybody, who was able to join and rejoin. And hope you all have a wonderful day. And please look for an email from me then.
Thank you.
Thank you, Amy.
Yep, bye.
Bye.
Folks.